What's up guys, it's Will back again, and today's review is Kubo and the Two Strings. Kubo and the Two Strings is a stop-motion fantasy action adventure film that follows a young boy by the name of Kubo who finds himself the target of some very powerful and evil beings. The film was directed by Travis Knight and kicks off when Kubo, a young boy who lives in hiding with his mother, goes to a nearby village where every day he performs magic that manipulates paper into origami figures that help him tell his story, accompanied by his music played on his instrument of choice, a shamisen. While eventually the main antagonists that are searching for Kubo find him and he's forced to retreat from his home and head out in search for his deceased father's armor that can protect him from these evil beings. Eventually he runs into a monkey and a beetle samurai who accompany him on his quest to find his father's armor for reasons I won't disclose now, but the rest of the film is spent adventuring and searching for Kubo's father's armor while we watch our characters grow and fight off the powerful evil beings together. Guys, this movie is amazing. I thought about it long and hard, and it's the second best movie I've seen this year so far, second only to Captain America: Civil War. Everything about this movie is great. The story, the visuals, the characters, the music, the dialogue, everything. But let's start with the story. Now I want to give you as few details as possible about this film's plot because I think the less you know the better if you are actually going to consider seeing this movie in theaters. But all I'll say is that this is an incredibly emotional and exceptionally written story that's one of the best I've come across in quite some time, especially from an animated film. There's not a ton of moving pieces or elements to this story, but the ones that are there will have you really emotionally invested in this story and its characters. On the topic of the characters, the trailers make them seem like they're sort of silly and one-dimensional, or at least that's the impression I got from watching the trailers prior to actually seeing this movie, and I could not have been more wrong. Kubo is a very charismatic and interesting protagonist that leads the way in a film that has a handful of really awesome characters. Kubo, voice acted by Art Parkinson, has had a very rough life as a kid thus far, but he remains optimistic and upbeat most of the time. There's definitely plenty of moments where he shows some very complex emotions as he's undergoing various hardships, and the voice acting from Art Parkinson along with the animation will likely relay these emotions to you perfectly as the viewer. I know they did for me. The other two key characters in this film are Monkey played by Charlize Theron and Beetle played by Matthew McConaughey. Charlize Theron's Monkey is the mostly serious character who takes looking after and guarding and directing Kubo very seriously. At first I thought her character was going to be kind of annoying because in the beginning of the film she's very short and snippy with Kubo, but as the story progresses she starts to become kinder towards him and she becomes a really layered and funny and very interesting and just likable character. I'll also say that as the adventure progresses, she begins to do some pretty badass fighting with the sword as well, so there's that too. I really enjoyed Monkey overall. She was extremely important to the dynamic and chemistry of our main trio of characters, and she was very well voice acted by Charlize Theron. The other main character in this film, Beetle, played by Matthew McConaughey, was my favorite character in this movie though. Beetle mostly serves as the comic relief for this story, a story that has a lot of very emotional and serious elements about it. But this isn't to say Beetle doesn't have his share of emotional scenes as well. He does. More often than not though, whether the trio is fighting enemies or just walking around in search of their next destination, Beetle begins to form a very clear attachment to Kubo because the two get along so well. While Beetle does take guarding Kubo very seriously because he believes he's the son of his previous master Hanzo, he also wants to help Kubo enjoy this adventure and simply enjoy himself whenever he gets the opportunity. Matthew McConaughey, Charlize Theron, and Art Parkinson were all perfect for their respective roles, and they each brought a ton of life and personality to their characters through their voice acting. I'll also say that the three antagonists in this film are absolutely fantastic. The sisters, voiced by Rooney Mara, were actually very scary and powerful, and every time they were on screen I felt that fear and uneasiness even as an adult. The Moon King, played by Fiennes, is also great in this film in limited screen time. All three of the villains in this film are extremely menacing and just awesome. Not to the point where they'll scare your kids too badly or anything though, so don't worry about that. Okay, so the visuals in this movie are absolutely amazing from start to finish. As I mentioned before, this film incorporates stop motion rather than like the typical form of animation that you'd see in like a Pixar film or something. This film was produced by Laika, who created movies like Box Trolls and Coraline, so if you've seen either of those, then just expect similar animation here, but much more epic and large in scale. Here's a brief explanation of what stop motion is for all those interested. There's definitely not too crazy of a difference between the typical animation you get in a non-stop motion film and the stop motion animation you get in this film, but I think this technical aspect is something you should be aware of going into this movie. I thought it was amazing though. But the scenery is absolutely breathtaking and just looks so awesome on screen. There's also a decent number of action and fight scenes that are brilliantly choreographed and animated as well. These fight scenes, like everything else in this film, look amazing visually, and they're very, very exciting to watch unfold on screen. Another element of this film I loved was the score. The music was composed by Dario Marianelli, who's composed music for his share of awesome films, and he nailed the music for Kubo and the Two Strings. When there's epic scenes and action and fighting, you get that epic music that just gets you feeling very excited and amped up and invested in this story. When there's downtime and jokes to be made, you get the more lighthearted, silly music that helps you connect with our main characters. And when there's emotional moments, you get emotional music that will hit you right in the feels. And finally, the dialogue in this film was exceptionally well written. Every interaction between the characters actually serves a purpose in regards to the overall progression of this story. The interactions all feel incredibly genuine and true to the characters' personalities. The humor worked, the adventure chat worked, and the emotional scenes worked for me as well. They were all written beautifully. Okay, so overall, I really love this film, and I firmly believe that both kids and adults can find a ton of enjoyment in it. I thought it had an incredibly well written and emotional story, amazing visuals throughout, awesome characters and dialogue, and very strong music. And as for the cons, nothing. There's nothing I didn't like about this film. It's that good in my opinion. I'm gonna give this film a 10 out of 10 and recommend that anyone and everyone go see this one in theaters whenever you can. So did you guys see Kubo and the Two Strings yet? What did you think of it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if not, let me know whether you'd be interested in watching this film or not. And as always, if you like this video, click that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for much more content like this. That's all for now. This is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.